Welcome to my Excel function series, where in this first video, we'll be going over aggregate functions, which will involve sum, count, min, max, and average. Using aggregate functions in Excel is a borderline necessity for data analysts, especially if you're trying to start off in entry-level jobs. Excel is a tool that commonly gets overlooked, especially with some other tools like SQL, Python, and R, but being able to do really quick and easy analysis in Excel could save you lots of time. The whole point of my series is to really teach you the basic understandings of each of the functions while also giving you lots of practice and opportunity to further your learning. I'll stop talking now and we'll get right into the video. In this video, we'll be covering 5 different aggregate functions. The first one being sum, which adds up a range of numbers. Count, which counts the number of cells that contain numbers. Max, which finds the maximum value in a range of numbers. Min, which finds the minimum value in a range of numbers. And average, which calculates the average of a range of numbers. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Here's the data set we'll be using for this video. Right here we have the 5 different functions we'll be using, along with the questions we'll be answering. The questions on the left, I'll be doing them with you. And the questions on the right, I'll ask you eventually to pause the video, work on them, and we can go over the answers at the very end. The first function we have here is sum, and along with that, we have our first question, which is asking us what was our total sales. So looking at this data set, we have to think which column here will give us that answer. And we get over here to column I where it says total price, and that's exactly where we want to be. It's going into total. I'm going to click right here and do equals sum. And I have to tell Excel now, what is the range I want it to sum? Do I want to just do a few rows, 5 rows, the entire column? I need to tell Excel that. So I want to start right here at I2, and I want to be the entire column. So what I want to do is go to Control, Shift, down, and I select now the entire column. Then I click Enter, scroll up, and we get our total right here, which is pretty close to $18,000. One other quick tip too, in case this is not really related to functions, but if you click on the column right here, it'll also tell you in the bottom right the sum. And that's of course you want to look into that. You don't want to just go with it and just that's the only answer. But it's a good way to just take a look at some quick data, do some quick analysis without getting too deep into it. So that is the sum of our total sales in this data set. Next one up, we have the count function, and it's going to ask us what is the number of unique orders in this data set. And just to clarify this, the ID column, this represents basically a customer. The quantity is how many orders there were in the customer's order altogether. So when it's asking for unique orders, it's really focusing on the amount of customer orders that came in. So looking at this, we're going to be focusing on column B. So we want to think, okay, how we're going to do this. It's be pretty similar to the sum function. We're going to start off with equals count, open our parentheses, and we have to think, where do we want Excel to start counting? We want to start right here in B2. Control Shift down. We want the entire column. And we see right here, it says 122 is the last ID. So the answer should be 122. After I click Enter, let's take a look. And yep, 122. And just as I did before with sum, I'm going to click on the column right here. And we see right here, it says count, but it says 123. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is 123, but we got 122. Like, how can that be? And that's because it's counting B1. And as we know, B1, that's not an order number. That's the column name. So make sure when you're using count or some other functions that sometimes don't rely on this too much. Make sure to really dive into the data itself and what's really asking. Because as we see right here, if we relied on 123, that would have been incorrect, as the real answer is 122. The third function we have here is min, and it's going to ask us what was our lowest sale. So thinking once again, what is the column I need to use for this one? And it's going to be column I, as we use in sum, total price. So for this one, I'm going to start off with equals min, open my parentheses. And once again, I want to choose the entire column because I want to know throughout this entire data set what was the lowest sale overall. So clicking right onto I2, Control Shift down, Enter. And there we go. We got our lowest sale, which was $35.40. Might want to look into that of why that one's so low compared to some of the ones I see right here, which are 300, 500, something definitely to look at. And then now with max, it's going to ask us what was our highest sale. And just like min, same thing, column I, but we're going to, instead of min, we're going to do equals max. Same thing, go to I2, control shift down, enter, and we get $817.92. So once again, I know when it comes to sales, some are higher, some are lower. It's just how it is in all businesses, but just something to look at of how it could be so different. Meanwhile, there's only so many different products we even have in this data set. The fifth and final function we'll have here is average. And the question here is, what was our average order quantity? So just like the others, we have to look at our data set and figure out what is the column we want to use. This one's a little bit straightforward because we already have a column G, which is quantity. So a little straightforward. So for this one, we're going to do equals average, parentheses, and same thing as before, we're going to click on G2. We want the entire column, so control shift down, click enter. And before it scroll up, it's going to tell us for each of the customers' unique orders, we want to know how many units were in each of them. So we get 68. So the average order had 68 units in each order. So we see right here, we go right away see 33. That is decently below average. 82, a little above. 149, way above. So it just gives you a good implication on each order. Now, it doesn't tell everything. It could be low in quantity but high in unit price, so it averages out, in a decent way. But just something good to know is you take a look at the data set, see which ones are higher, which ones are lower, which ones are average. It's just a good, easy way to get some quick analysis. So what I'm going to ask you now to do is to pause this video and work on these 5 questions right here on the side, and we will get back together in a little bit and go over the answers. Welcome back. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go over these 5 questions I asked you to answer and see how you did on them. So in the first one right here, we have sum. It's going to ask us how many total orders were there. Now, remember, as I said in the beginning with count, the total orders is going to be focused on the column G. Unique orders is, think of the ID column as a customer. So if customer number 1, customer number 2, customer number 3, and then quantity, right? The number 33 would mean we gave them 33 orders of carrots, 58 orders of chocolate chip cookies. So for this one, we're going to do equals sum, open up parentheses, and we're going to click on G2, control shift down, enter, and we get our answer of 8,325 orders all together. So we're all set with that one. And now going to count, where it asks us for a number of unique orders in January. This one's a little bit different. Going into here, we're going to do equals count in our parentheses. There's a couple ways we do this. We could either focus on the date column or ID. We of course need a date column. We need to know which ones were in January. And we see right here, January starts right here at A2 and goes all the way down to A12. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on A2 and I'm going to drag all the way down to A12 because I only want to count this section right here. Close my parentheses, click enter, and we are answer of 11 orders. So we see right here in the month of January, there were 11 orders all together by customers. There were 11 customer orders all together. Next up, we have min, and it's going to ask us what is our lowest unit price. And you'll see right away that the min and max over here is pretty similar to what it was before, except it's just going to be a different column. So for lowest unit price, we're using column H for this, which is going to do equals min, open parentheses, click on H2, control shift down, click enter, and we get the lowest unit price is $1.35. And for the highest unit price, same thing as before, except we're going to use max. So equals max, open the parentheses, scroll up a little bit, H2, control shift down, enter, and the highest unit price is $3.49. The final question here is asking us how much was our average sale. So thinking once again, the column that we are looking for here is column I. I'm going to do equals average, parentheses, click on I2, control shift down, click enter, scroll up, and the average sale is $147.45. And that's a little concerning because just doing some quick math here, we see the lowest unit price is $1.35, highest is $3.49. So we get a sense of how much each product on its own can cost. But if I kind of do some quick math right here, it seems to be the average unit price comes a little bit over $2, I'd say, a little bit over two. And that is probably telling me that we're selling a bunch of lower priced products, but not a ton of higher priced ones. So that could be definitely something to look at a little bit more in depth to figure out why exactly that's the case. Maybe there's certain products that are more popular, some products we're not promoting enough. So that could be definitely something to look into for future use. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you learned something valuable in this video. I will definitely be making more videos coming up about different functions, and I look forward to seeing you on those videos.